Okay, listen. I know this technically wasn't on the menu. This wasn't planned. I need to get out of anyone my man. The two fics we've been reading so far. Bad Apple. What's the other one called again? Ghost in the Snoot. They're both ending one, and they are both very much similar in terms of like the approximate mental space they occupy. I need something different, man. Oof. I need to be reminded that there's a whole cast of characters out there we just don't get to see. We don't get to do anything with Trish. We don't get to do anything with Reed. Fang exists in one of them, kind of, but it's very limited. Like, oh man, I want to. I think after those things, we're doing a Wani fic, man. I need to be reminded what Inko is like, or what people think Inko's like. Putting that aside, welcome to Promise of a Lifetime by SwanFather. I don't know if we've done anything of him so far. I can give a look at my little red list. But I don't think we have. I recall reading this a little bit too, and similar to Bad Apple, I felt like, this wasn't too bad. That's so mean. I enjoyed what I had read up until that point. This one is interesting. Remember how I often complain that fics don't what don't fics do, Saffy? How about you fucking tell the audience? Fics often don't. They flirt with the idea of racism, but they never do anything with it. None of these are Receiver K, Silver Chariot, Receiver K, and Orlok. That's Abracadabra, Jake Parade. Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, we have another thing of SwanFather so far, I guess. Anyway, this fic is about Anon and Fang knew each other when they were little boys and girls, and he carried that promise in his heart as he left town at a young age. This fic does a lot more. Remember how I often complained that like so many of these fics they flirt with the idea of, oh, I'm gonna, you know what? I think we're gonna have to. Now we're putting the beans down, right? We're hands on the table, but we're not 5 minutes in. But don't worry, it's not about the fic. This is not about SwanFather. The more I think about Wani and the other one, the more I realize that it is just Earth. It does very little with the characters in a way that fundamentally matters. You might say, oh wait, Olivia, she almost fell. She fell because it was cold. It could have been a human being. She could have just been actually just a human being freezing. There's nothing about that particular scene. It's snowing. Humans freeze when it snows. As for, you might say, well, what about when Nasser jumped off the cliff? Fang could have just been a human girl going, I've sprinkled magic pixie dust on you. You can fly now. Because that's the thing they used to do as a little game. And, you know, there's a lot of ways to make those scenes work without needing them to be dinosaurs. I often complain about that, about how there is no setting, there is no lore, and that is boring because the characters are also very flat when you really think about it. These are extraordinarily flat games. They're hard carried by some of the jokes, and definitely carried by the art, and definitely carried by the music, and definitely carried by some of the, you know, the writing is quite often the sore spot for me. Because if you split something up, why would you read something? Well, for the plot, you might read it for the lore. Maybe you're one of those people who likes reading history books. I don't know. Or you can read it for like characters and themes. And I feel like characters and themes in this is a little weak. I feel that, funnily enough, I've been thinking about it. I think you can make an argument that Inko and Fang and Anon and Olivia is like the better pairing. Anon and Olivia works better because they could both be these absolute miserable online shits. And over the course of it, they are confronting with themselves, aka the mirror image, and they realize, one, gender doesn't matter, and it's like, oh, well, I make such a big deal about women, but like this woman is just me. And over time, they both realize we should probably stop this, because like all we see when we look at each other is just the poison. Meanwhile, with Inko and Fang, you could have Inko initially be like accepting and open, but because Inko's always been kind of a follower, he starts to realize that, oh, you know, I'm doing what Reddit tells me, but the lack of critical thought is hurting what I can do. And then as he starts to think critically about things, he slowly realizes what's happening around him. Now, I would prefer that journey would, you know, be written so that Fang is included, so that it's not just Inko solving Fang's problems directly. Like that sort of everyone has equal agency in the story. But on the other hand, who cares? I'm just thinking about it because I mentioned before, like, there are some serious issues with how some of it's written. And I honestly want to leave that at that. But we're doing something different. We are reading by someone who I've been told does a good job. This man apparently delivers. And I've read a little bit of this, and like I said it before, there is so little backstory or anything supporting anything. Like, honestly, You want to know what really bothers me about Snoot game and the dates? It's a very weird nitpick, but it's one that I'm going to point out, and I want you to take this with you wherever you go. I really don't know why the date in the good ending takes place in an aquarium. Anon and Fang have not like especially shown any interest in aquariums. So it's really weird. Like the A and the B dates are like they go to things Fang likes. But wouldn't it make the most sense if like the D date is they do something Anon likes so that Anon shares his interests? Maybe they go to a video game museum, and along the way, Fang's like, oh, I love those soundtracks of video games. And they sort of create this connective tissue. Like, the best ending is they open themselves up to a conversation instead of this normie ass aquarium date. It's about their personal interests and how they connect as people. But no, we get a boring ass aquarium date that pretty much only exists so that Fang can be like, I look like a dolphin and I'm scared of the dark. That's honestly all I got out of it. It's not a date that really builds on the characters or on the world. But then again, as I mentioned, nothing builds on the world. The world is very much just Earth, and it's the most boring version of Earth because it's a version of Earth that seems unconcerned with its own changes. I mentioned that. This one fundamentally can't avoid that because it is fundamentally about the fact that Anon gets racist. He gets hit by the racists. And it also does a lot of stuff of like, oh, she gave you a feather. Well, actually, that's a pretty much a marriage proposal. And while I don't like how they do it a little bit too much. It goes a little bit in that direction of you have held my hand to guide me down the stairs. That means we are married now. You know that you're in an exotic culture as a white man and suddenly you're involved in hijinks and nobody has the fucking wherewithal to go, maybe this random white man that we've never seen before might not know how our cultures work and might not be able to consent to this appropriately. Like, it's supposed to be a gesture of love, not like a fucking genie contract. That I don't know. Maybe that gets addressed later. But the parts I read, I was like a little bit. You're kind of doing this Orientalism stuff, which I want my culture, but I don't want you to start pretending that this culture has no fucking brain of its own. Like, nuance, man. You can't be a metropolitan multicultural area without having to accept that at some point someone's going to be an idiot and walk into your house with their shoes on, which apparently in America is perfectly normal. I'm going to say people are weird. But I have understanding of that. I understand that if an American gets invited to my house, he might do that. And I won't immediately think that he's doing it to be malicious. Because I know what it means to be multicultural, a little cosmopolitan, a little bit of that Metro man or whatever you call it, good old Metro 2025. So with that in mind, I might as well make this just a little preamble, like a little chapter 0, which means why not just talk more about it? Let's read the intro. We got Anani Moose, born and raised in Vocal Bluffs, was forced to leave behind his hometown and childhood friends, Lucy and Nasser Aaron, to survive the housing crash at the age of 10. What a great way to introduce. We already have, like, there's actual shit happening in the economy. Wow. That's a really high concept thing for teenagers. But I like it. It really shows how people can just be victims of circumstance, way outside of their control. And age 10, nice and young, there's a lot of things that can happen. Lucy and Aaron made a promise sealed with a feather to guide him back to her. That's cute. But you can kind of see how this might go with, like, everyone is like, you actually meant that, Fang? That's just weird, man. 8 years later, he returns to finish the last of his senior year at Volcano High. Will their promise be fulfilled? I find this interesting because it kind of admits that he got bullied away. But God, I just remembered the whole like gay thing with nothing else matters, and this one is like you can tell from this description alone that one, the author kind of knows where he wants to start and where he wants to go with it. So that's a lot more than some of these where it's just like the premise and not like what that premise might involve. But here we can already kind of get a vibe. There's probably going to be a lot of like we're not getting the racism angle right out of the gate. Well, we can imagine that like 8 years, maybe Fang has grown up, Lucy's grown up, and it's like I know that was 8 years ago. I don't really care. Unrequited love. Or past memories. It's not even implied, right, that Anon himself in this preamble is like interested. We know he is later down the line. But you could easily work with the angle of like, well, maybe Anon is the one who forgot. Maybe Anon is not as lovelorn as Lucy. Maybe both moved on, and now that they've come back together, they can rekindle a friendship at the minimum. They can just talk and hang out and shake hands. There's a lot of ways you can take this that are not like the lovey-dovey, gushy stuff where everything is fine and everyone just starts making out. Because, nuance. So already, we start off with a very vague premise. It leaves a lot to the imagination, but also gives you a lot to work with. Because clearly, unless if he drops that housing shit and he just doesn't do anything with the rest of the world, that's lame. That's a very easy way to fuck up. Okay, so you're gonna talk about the one thing that mattered, and like Anon is just isolated from the entire universe from that point forward. That's lame. And then there's sealed with the feather. That's a very unique and interesting way to do it, right? With a feather. That's a very specific thing, and it's one of Lucy's feathers, so it's way more personal. That means something. That immediately tells us once we get those details, like, yes, this is very important to both of them, even if they were 10. They're just little snot-nosed kids. That's cute. There's a lot of ways this can go poorly, but I've read a little bit of it, and I hold hope in my little baby heart, that this is gonna hold up tight. So, sorry for the preamble, but let's actually get going. I'll probably just upload the chapter 1 immediately after this, so don't worry about it. You won't have to wait a whole day. So, it also has art. I love this art. I don't know why. I fucking love this art. There's something about how the clothing is rendered. I love the fact that Fang is wearing like an actual outfit that a human being would wear. I know she's a dinosaur, but you know what I mean. Um, like the halter top and stuff. I'm gonna say this again. Listen. I like Fang's look to an extent. I feel that it works fantastic for a character that is confident and is like, "This is what I'm doing, baby." But I do feel that, like the dress and everything in the scenes you do in Goodbye Volcano High, that I feel like that's a missed opportunity to give Fang a little bit of nuance. Like, you could have done some really cheap scenes where Fang is mostly sitting down, so you only have to make half of the model behind a table. You could have easily done that and have Fang wear something else to just kind of, yeah. But as it is, yeah, Molgoth. A little too Molgoth, a little. I I think the skull necklace is like the part where it really goes over the tipping point, though. That's kind of where. Why'd you do it? Come on, man. She's 18. She's not 15. She knows the world a bit better. Or they know. I always get so confused. Sorry. They know the world better. They're trying to become a real magician, a musician. So, I don't know. It works for performances. I'm okay with it in that context, but outside of that, just a little, man. Just reel it in a little bit. A little bit. Okay? Okay? Take some of the chains off the trip pants. And I like Adon's jacket. I like it a lot. It's hard to explain why. I just like that it looks more like something you can wear in every weather. It's open, but it looks thick because it's got the little section at the bottom. You wouldn't put that in a loose one. And then we got the feather. And like the way it's set up, you can easily tell. By the way, if you're wondering, the background for this has the feather. Because of course it does. And I like the boots. Those look like boots. Glad they're not over the knee. I fucking hate over the knee boots. They are so, like, all I can think about is how that's a pain to move in. But I like them. They're just nice boots. Although admittedly, I don't really have too much of an opinion on the boots. We got Anon's shitty sneakers. You gotta bring the shitty sneakers. I also like that Anon actually has his eyebrows and stuff. Don't know. His eyebrows are such a mystery because he doesn't have them. I think they show up sometimes though. In his anger sprite, maybe. Also, I like this Fang. I like the softness. I like that the hair isn't straight and sleek. Like, that works for Fang and Goodbye Volcano High because they're going for a witch aesthetic. They're trying to be like, I'm so mysterious and like cool and shit. Whereas in Snoot, I feel like having the hair be more wavy and loose and natural works better. Like the t-shirt, like this just looks like someone who's trying their best but isn't that committed. Whereas in Snoot game, it definitely feels like Lucy is not comfortable with what's going on. I don't know, man. It's like the low-key stuff. The low-key basic stuff is sometimes all you need to get what you need, to get what you want, to get your dick wet, or whatever it is you're looking for. Anyway, I like this art. Fantastic job. I don't know who made it. Let's see. Cover art by Toad14 underscore. Fantastic job. A little round of applause. That is a fantastic piece of cover work. I love how it looks. I love how they have their backs to each other. You know, they've been living apart in other parts of the world for 8 years. So they've been separate. They've been going their own way. They've been looking their own direction. Now they come together again. Can they turn around and meet up? It's a nice. It's not high art, but the it's good. You know, it's like I'm not going to a fucking basic restaurant, to like a local restaurant, expecting 5 Michelin stars. I don't want 5 Michelin stars because then I have to sit there and you have to like scoop it in slowly and you have to eat it. So it's like, no, sir, you can't put salt on it. We don't give you salt because it's already fun. I'm like, please, it's good food, man. I come to someone's house and I see this, and I see that introduction, we already know we're in for a good time. And what I've read, we're in for a good time. Also, I like Fang's pose with like the hands underneath and Anon's holding onto the feather. He's clearly clinging to the past, wistfully thinking ahead, whereas Fag is just kind of thinking. Although this guy's a little nervous and anxious. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing things. Maybe it's apophenia acting up. But let's get going. Chapter 1, the first promise. We must go back to the past, and I need to very quickly edit this because I fucking hate when people do bonus new lines. They just make things look bigger than they are. Like a penis extension.